40 bikers exposed the amazing strength of a deaf black little girl crying after being bullied. Rain poured from darkened skies, a heavy curtain of water that drowned the laughter and light of a previous day. 8-year-old Mia sat alone on the swing, her small body swaying gently beneath the weight of storms both outside and within. Her mind raced through shadowy memories of taunts flung like pebbles. Weirdo. Freak. Echoing in her ears despite the silence that enveloped her. She could see the sneers on their faces during recess, the twisted expressions that lingered long after school let out. And as tears made their way down her cheeks, the conflict within her spiraled deep. She wanted to fit in, but the very essence of her being, the beautiful gift of her imagination, seemed to drive others away instead. Drawing had always been Mia's refuge. With every stroke of her crayon, she could transform the world around her into bursts of color, a haven of bold shapes and sprawling landscapes. Today, however, even her vibrant pencils had grown dull against the grey of her feelings. What was it like to be seen, to have someone understand her? Each image she created felt like a cry for help, echoing into the indifference of a town that wouldn't listen. Then the storm brought a different kind of noise, a growl, a rumble, resonating from the streets beyond. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The sound of motorcycle engines thundered closer, each roar resonating with the beating of Mia's heart. It was them, the Guardians as the locals called them, a group of bikers who were anything but what their leather jackets suggested. Yet faced with Mia's pain, she couldn't help but feel a mixture of fear and curiosity. A different kind of tension tightened her chest, contrasting with the weight of isolation. Did she dare to dream of support from these larger-than-life figures, or would their presence be yet another reminder of how different she was? Why can't I be like everyone else, she wondered, the thought gnawing at her. Wouldn't that make things easier? The imaginary colors in her mind began to fade as hurt clawed at her reality. Her mother, Tara, always told her she was strong, but right now, all Mia felt was small. Where was the acceptance? Where was the understanding in the world outside her art? As gloomy clouds burst open and Mia squeezed her eyes shut, longing for an escape that felt so tantalizingly out of reach, the bikers finally appeared, weaving through the rain, oblivious to the turmoil inside her. Their laughter swirled in the air like an intoxicating perfume. Could they see her? Could they hear the unspoken screams for compassion? She felt as if she teetered on a precipice, hope and despair in constant battle, and all the while the weight of judgment loomed heavy, threatening to crash down like the rain around her. Yet in this moment, a stirring within ignited. Maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for her voice to be heard. But at what cost? Would all the fear of ridicule come crashing down if she let someone in? The storm outside roared louder as thunder cracked, a tumult echoing the war inside her heart. Would she step into the light, or remain shadowed in doubt, forever a child crying alone? The rain splattered against the ground in chaotic rhythms, mirroring the turmoil inside Mia. She squeezed her eyes tighter, straining against the echoes of ridicule that resurfaced in her mind with every engine rev. Then, amidst the snarls and bellows of the bikers, a single voice broke through, sharp and clear, like a lighthouse cutting through fog. "Hey, kid! You all right?" Mia hesitated, the weight of her shame pulling her inward. The sound of fists on leather broke her moment of clarity. She felt the urge to retreat, to shrink back into the shadows where pain was familiar. What do they want? She thought, anxiety prickling at the back of her neck, but beneath that veil of fear, curiosity flickered. She mustered a glance toward the bikers. They were gathered in a huddle, their imposing figures punctuated by the gleaming chrome of their motorcycles. Among them was a woman with a fierce grin, her helmet resting atop her leather jacket. A rare feeling emerged. Could this be her moment to connect, to find understanding? Just as she considered responding, the weight of doomsday doubts flooded back. What if they laughed? What if their acceptance came with a cost she couldn't afford? In a world that had dismissed her so many times before, she stood at the crossroads of vulnerability and rejection. The tension in her gut began to shift. Something visceral stirred within her. What's the worst that could happen? She pondered, wrestling with her fear. Her heart raced, not from fear alone, but with the potential for something different, something freeing. With a sudden surge of courage, Mia raised her hand, the action feeling monumental. "I'm okay," she shouted into the chaos, her voice scarcely lifting above the roar of the engines. I don't want to be alone." The bikers turned their attention to her, their smiles unwavering in the storm. "Hey, you're brave," the woman with the helmet exclaimed, clapping her hands together. "What's your name?" "Mia," she replied, her voice shaky but firm. "Mia, you're part of the ride now," the woman announced, stepping forward. "We might look tough, but we believe in standing up for the little ones. You're not alone." The heartfelt proclamation sent a ripple of warmth through Mia, illuminating the dark crevices of despair. Could it be true? Had she finally found an ally? The thought alone sprouted a seed of hope. As the bikers took turns sharing their stories, Mia listened, captivated by their tales of struggle and adventure, resilience and friendship. It transcended her relentless bullying. These were individuals who faced their own storms, figurative and literal, and emerged stronger. "I want to be strong too," she thought, determination coursing through her veins like wildfire. Inspiration took root, fueled by the empathy she felt swelling inside. It was time to stop hiding behind the safety of her drawings. There was a world outside, chaotic yet beautiful, waiting for her participation. Mia could already envision color splashing onto canvas, a vivid representation of her journey, a way to reclaim her narrative. But the lingering question remained. Could she balance her newfound confidence with her fear of judgment? Suddenly, she felt a gentle touch on her shoulder. The woman had returned. "Mia, you've got something special in you. Don't let anyone dim your light." The words sunk in, filling the empty spaces where insecurities once festered. This was the moment she would choose to grow, to embrace her artistry without fear. "Tomorrow, I'll draw for everyone," Mia thought, heart swelling with possibility. Yet, with the excitement came a daunting realization. Revealing herself would entail confronting not only her peers, but also her own fears. As Mia clenched her fists, her resolve hardened. "This is just the beginning," she told herself. "Tomorrow, I will show them." With the echo of biker laughter ringing in her ears and a newfound courage surging in her chest, Mia took a deep breath, letting the storm around her inspire the tempest within her. Would she be able to face the world anew? The answer lay just one art piece away. But as the rain began to ease and the shadows of doubt flickered slowly away, the promise of tomorrow brought with it another uncertainty. Was she truly ready to step into the light? Mia woke early to the sound of raindrops tapping against her window, each one a rhythmic reminder of the chaotic night prior. She lay in bed, the comforter pulled tightly around her, reflecting the cocoon of fear that still held her captive. The exhilaration she felt with the bikers had begun to ebb, replaced with whispers of her inner critic. What if you mess up? What if they laugh? But amid the unsettling doubts, there was a flicker of determination. The positivity from the bikers remained like a warm ember in her chest, urging her to act. "Today is a new day," she murmured, pushing herself up and letting the covers fall away. She could feel the weight of responsibility settling over her. She had made a commitment to herself and to them. Plopping down at her desk, she stared at the canvas, waiting for a splash of color. This canvas, this blank canvas, felt like a daunting wall instead of a welcoming frontier. Mia wrestled with the fear that to put pen to paper was to expose herself utterly, to strip away the protective layers she had cultivated over the years. Yet she couldn't ignore the pull of excitement that begged her for expression. "What if I create something that resonates?" she asked herself. She envisioned the bikers, no, her new friends, seeing her artwork and feeling what she felt. What if they didn't just laugh, but connected to her? This thought turned the dread into a gentle thrill. With a deep breath, she picked up her paintbrush, gaze fixed on the canvas. The first stroke came hesitantly, a light dash of blue that felt both right and ridiculously fragile. It was a start, a thread of courage weaving through her insecurities. "It's just paint," she reassured herself, dabbing vibrant colors here and there. Each brushstroke became an assertion of her identity, a pronouncement that she refused to be defined by her fears any longer. As she painted, memories of laughter mingled with her creations, laughter from the bikers that had felt genuine and full of life. The way they had shared their hardships echoed in her heart, producing waves of inspiration rather than self-doubt. Painting transformed from a mere artistic endeavor into something more profound. It was stepping into the light, as she had determined to do. However, as she layered colors, the specter of self-doubt crept back in. What would her peers think? Would they still find her weird? Even now, the thought of facing those who had bullied her turned her brushstrokes into shaky lines. "Focus, Mia," she said. In the sudden burst of clarity, she began to incorporate symbols into her painting, replicas of the machines that had roared to life during last night's storm. They manifested into a collage of power and rebellion. Each stroke was a personal battle cry, a definition of her strength and journey. Hours flew by until finally her artwork stood vibrant and pulsating with life. It was chaotic, yet neatly structured, just like her emotions. Standing back, Mia felt her heart race, not out of fear, but from raw exhilaration. The picture resonated with all she had felt, a testimony to her strength evolving amidst chaos. But with the unveiling of her artwork came the looming question. Could she reveal this piece of her soul to the very same world that had tried to stifle her? What would she do if the risks outweighed the potential for acceptance? As dusk descended, her paintings were ready to face the world. The adrenaline surged at the mere thought of presenting it. Mia's heart pounded, alive with the adrenaline of uncertainty. Flashes of the biker's support echoed in her mind, yet doubt hovered like a cloud ready to burst. The time has come to face them, she realized, trembling not with fear, but with anticipation. Tomorrow would be the first real test of her resolve. Would she be able to share her truth and emerge reborn, or would she retreat back into the shadows? The question pulled at her, exhilarating and terrifying all at once. As she stared at her artwork, she knew one thing. The moment of truth was almost upon her. As dawn crept over the horizon, the last vestiges of rain clung to the pavement, and Mia felt the pulse of a new day thrumming in her veins. She stirred awake, heart still racing with the anxious exhilaration of what lay ahead. Today wasn't just another day. It was a milestone, a pivotal moment that teetered on the edge of her internal revolution. Mia glanced at the canvas, her artistic expression from the night before, now a vibrant testament to her evolving confidence. The imagery of roaring engines and bold colors spoke to her defiance against the reluctance that had held her captive for so long. Yet the echoes of her fears reverberated in her mind. What if today was a grand mistake? What if the laughter of her peers, mingled with the disdain she once felt, drowned out the supportive chorus of her bikers? She stood before the mirror, applying the faintest touch of lipstick, trying to bolster herself. Reflection revealed determination masked beneath uncertainty. "This is for you, Mia," she whispered, as if addressing the frightened girl who had once shied away from the world. "You owe it to yourself to stand tall." Her hands trembled as she gathered her art supplies, every brush and palette a talisman against her fears. With each item added to her satchel, she felt a flicker of resolve growing stronger. Mia envisioned the bikers nodding in approval, their acceptance fueling her drive. She wasn't just the girl in her small town. She was an artist, a storyteller ready to claim her narrative. As she made her way to the cafe where publication-ready art was rarely the norm, anticipation twisted in her stomach. Each step echoed with the rhythm of her heartbeat, a song of bravery and trepidation. But there was no changing course now. She was on a mission to communicate her truth, a mission that felt like a baptism by fire. Entering the cafe, the air was thick with chatter and the sizzling sounds of breakfast. Mia scanned for a space where she could feel more connected to her surroundings, but her eye caught the familiar face of a classmate who had made her high school days unbearable. The flicker of recognition sent a bolt of anxiety crashing through her. Taking a deep breath, she walked to the back, setting her artwork against the wall in what felt like a silent proclamation. As she waited for the gathering crowd, familiar faces slipped into view. Some warm, others cloaked in the past she had yet to conquer. Each one a reminder of the battles she had fought alone. The moment of truth approached, and her heart raced not only for the fear of judgment, but also from the raw hope that she could transform their perception. Voices swirled around her, forming the inner storm she was desperate to calm. She needed to anchor herself. This was her moment. As she stood before the crowd, she scanned their faces, searching for kindness, understanding, or perhaps even redemption. It was imperative she managed to convey the weight of her experience, every brushstroke symbolic of her scars, accomplishments, and relentless spirit. "Mia!" a voice called, cutting through the tension and grounding her. It was one of the bikers, their eyes shining with encouragement. "Show us who you are. Don't hold back." And there it was, the spark she'd been seeking. The affirmation was a thread anchoring her resolve in that moment. With each word, with every fleeting glance she could muster, she prepared to weave her story into the art displayed before her. But despite the brewing confidence, doubt lingered uninvited, wrapping around her confidence. If she opened her heart, would the laughter and scorn come flooding back? Would the pain of being misunderstood seep back into her life, threatening to unravel everything she had fought so hard to achieve? With a steadying breath, Mia took one last glance at her work, a reflection of her journey, and shouted internally for conviction, "This is me!" As she stepped closer to the audience, ready to unveil her truth, a sudden realization sparked her anxiety anew. What if the very act of exposing herself instead mirrored the failures of the bullied girl she had once been? Would she emerge as the artist she was striving to be, or would she risk plunging back into a chasm of old pain? Mia was at a crossroads, the moment palpable with tension. The essence of transformation lay solely in her confession. But now the stakes felt higher than ever. Mia inhaled sharply, the air thick with anticipation as she stepped further into the spotlight. The canvas behind her loomed like a bright beacon of her innermost thoughts, ready to unravel a story cloaked in layers of struggle and triumph. The murmurs of the crowd grew dim as she focused on her breath, attempting to quell the tempest brewing within her. This wasn't merely about art. It was an excavation of identity, a leap into an ocean of raw vulnerability. Today, I want to share something with you, not just what's on this canvas, but what it means to me, Mia began, her voice steady despite the rapid thumping of her heart. She could feel her palms slick with sweat, her fingers brushing against the edges of the artwork. With each word, the breaths of her listeners seemed to draw in unison, held captive by the tension that enveloped her. In every stroke of paint, there's a piece of my story. Times I spent hiding behind a mask, afraid to show the world who I really was. There were days I felt like an outsider, invisible, striving for acceptance that often felt just out of reach. As she spoke, she caught the gaze of the biker who had encouraged her. Their unwavering stare reminded her that even amid fear, there was strength and solidarity. The courage burgeoned within her. I was bullied for being different, for being the girl who didn't quite fit into the neat boxes others wanted to place me in, and rather than fight back, I withdrew into myself and my art. It was my only escape. She took a deep breath, the weight of her past lifting just enough for clarity to pierce through the fog. Mia took a step forward, feeling a ferocious intensity within her that demanded to be let out. But no more. I refuse to be boxed in by anyone's perceptions of who I am or what I can become. She gestured emphatically at the canvas, every color curling around the chains of her past, vibrant and alive. This is more than just paint, it's resilience. I am here to reclaim my story, my voice. Unexpectedly, laughter erupted from a corner of the room, a familiar sound she once loathed. An old classmate sneered, and for a moment darts of doubt pierced her resolve. Was this a mistake? Her heart sank, adrenaline coursing through her, debating whether to retreat or to face the ridicule head-on. "There's the artist," the classmate scoffed. For a brief second, Mia felt her courage shudder. But as if by instinct, the bikers began to shift, their powerful presence forming a wall of support behind her. "You don't get it," one of the bikers growled softly, their voice low yet fierce. "She's telling the truth. Artists paint the most authentic realities, and this," they pointed at the canvas, "is her reality. It's not a joke, it's a triumph." The tension in the cafe shifted, and something deep within Mia ignited. She locked eyes with the sneering face, her heart pounding rapidly. "You think my story is a punchline?" she asked, her words laced with the tremor of indignation. "It's not. I've transformed my pain into something beautiful. I've grown, and I will not let anyone diminish that." The crowd turned restless. Caught in the sudden whirlwind of her emotional landscape, Mia filtered the energy rippling through the room. Shock, realization, perhaps understanding. Would they grasp the essence of her revelation? Could she inspire change beyond this canvas, even in those who once mocked her? As she faced the audience, ready to deliver her final thoughts, she felt an unfamiliar surge of power sweep through her, tearing away the remnants of fear. "I shared my art to show you all that strength comes from our most profound wounds. I'm here to uplift and inspire, just as art has saved me. You have a choice, either laugh or embrace this moment with empathy." With that, she paused, allowing her words to resonate, and her heart swelled with the realization that she stood on the brink of metamorphosis. The road ahead teemed with uncertainty, yet beneath it thrummed a pulse of undeniable growth, igniting her resolve. But just as she prepared to step into the next chapter of her life, an unexpected figure emerged from the shadows, the same classmate who had scorned her, stepping forward with an expression she couldn't quite read. Was this an invitation to deeper conflict, or an opportunity for reconciliation? The crowd's murmur buzzed with anticipation as she faced a new challenge that could yet influence her journey to self-discovery. Would Mia choose to confront this moment or let it slip into the shadows of her past? As the murmurs of the crowd heightened around her, Mia felt an electric charge between herself and the figure now stepping into the light. It was her old classmate, Casey, wearing an expression torn between confusion and something resembling regret. "Mia, wait!" Casey called out, her voice slicing through the atmosphere like a blade. The crowd quieted, eyes darting back and forth between the two women. It was an unexpected moment, a nerve-wracking confrontation that could either ignite a fire of resolution or fuel an explosive clash. Mia stood her ground, uncertainty flickering within her. Just moments before, she had felt the surge of resilience coursing through her veins. Would this moment unravel her courage, tossing her back into the pit of self-doubt? She clenched her fists, grounding herself in the unwavering support of the bikers behind her. They had become her shield, a tangible reminder of the strength she had summoned within herself. "What do you want, Casey?" Mia asked, her voice steadier than she felt. It was both a question and a challenge, a line drawn in the fragile sand of their shared history. I just wanted to say—" Casey hesitated, the words seemingly stuck in her throat. For an instant, Mia glimpsed the girl who once mocked her. Insecurities danced in her eyes, too. "I've been there too, Mia. I just didn't know how to express it. Maybe I was scared," Casey finally confessed, her cheeks flushed with a mixture of shame and vulnerability. A swell of contradictory emotions coursed through Mia. She had prepared herself for a battle, an opportunity to unleash years of pent-up frustration and hurt. But here stood Casey, stripped of her armor, presenting a side Mia never thought she'd see. It was a moment filled with possibility, an opportunity to reshape their story with understanding. "Scared." The words slipped from Mia's lips, tinged with incredulity. Scared enough to belittle someone who was already hurting? The weight of those memories clawed at her, but she swallowed hard. Was this her chance to either forgive or, as her instincts urged, demand accountability? "I didn't realize you were hurting," Casey pleaded, anguish creeping into her voice. "I thought it was harmless. I was just trying to fit in." The audience surged with sympathetic murmurs, and a few bewildered nods echoed through the cafe. Mia stepped closer, the two women now sharing the spotlight. "You don't get to dismiss my experience as harmless. You don't understand the scars those words left behind," she said, voice laced with the urgency of her truth. Fear began to weave gently into her words, but beneath that, a burgeoning resolve awakened. Casey looked down, shame flooding her features. "I know it's not an excuse, but I've changed, and I want to make it right. Your art, it moved me. I didn't see you back then, Mia. I see you now." Mia wrestled with this admission. Forgiveness stood before her like a doorway, but was she ready to walk through? A whirlwind of emotions felt like competing brushstrokes on her canvas, transforming confusion into clarity. More than a confrontation, this could be a reclamation of power, not just for herself, but even for Casey, who in her own way had suffered too. "I appreciate you saying that," Mia said slowly, measuring her words, "but the impacts of our actions are far-reaching. Changing, forgiving, and moving forward takes time. It begins with acknowledging the wounds we cause." Her heart raced, realizing how her own choices were rooted in her past. As she turned to the crowd, her voice rang clear. "Truth is, we're all fighting battles you can't see. What if we stood together rather than tear each other down? Let's transform our pain into bridges instead of walls." The nods of understanding pulsated through the room, a shared recognition of humanity weaving together. Would her message resonate beyond this moment? Could it spark a transformation within Casey, insisting she hold on to this empathy cultivated tonight? But as the crowd whispered their thoughts, a flicker of the unexpected crossed Mia's mind. What if Casey's unmasking was only the first step? The thrill of confronting her past still loomed, demanding further exploration. Reinvention lay ahead, but at what cost? Just then, the door swung open and in walked someone unexpectedly familiar. Someone from Mia's childhood who had haunted her not only with cruel words but with deep-seated resentment. Did the past have more to say, awaiting its own confrontation? The figure stepping into the cafe was Amanda, a ghost Mia had thought she exorcised from her life long ago. the stinging memories of ridicule, laughter that echoed like thunder, and dismissive attitudes rose up within her, threatening to overwhelm her newfound courage. Assessing Amanda's presence, she felt the familiar flush of anxiety begin to creep in, a stark contrast to the empowerment she believed she had found just moments before. "Mia!" Amanda's voice was filled with a cocky confidence that Mia recognized all too well. "Look at you, up here preaching about pain and unity. It's almost cute." The crowd's atmosphere shifted slightly, a tainted tension forming like a dark cloud. For a moment Mia faltered, confusion swirled with anger, and she had to remind herself of the progress she had made tonight. "What do you want, Amanda?" she asked, her voice quieter than she intended. The shadows of her past loomed larger, threatening to consume every hard-fought victory. Amanda stepped closer, her expression teasing yet curiously contemplative. "I'm just here to see the show, Mia. I mean, who knew you'd turn out to be so profound?" The thin veil of sarcasm felt like salt in old wounds. Mia clenched her fists tighter. "You think it's a joke? That pain is something to ridicule." The bitterness in her tone surprised her, but she couldn't deny that Amanda's presence stirred a frustration she had thought buried. "Pain? Look at you," Amanda laughed, but it lacked humor. It was a defensive stance. "You want to act like you're some warrior now, but remember who you were. You were the silent girl everyone wanted to push around." The words cut deeper than Mia anticipated. Silence veiled her vulnerability, but her heart knew she had carried more than just the scars of bullying. She had also nurtured resilience. Just as she was about to respond with her own sharp retort, she paused. Instead of firing back, she took a deep breath, centering herself in this moment of potential conflict. "Yeah, I was quiet then," she admitted, surprising herself, "but I've learned to speak up. I've learned to take my past and transform it into strength." For a brief second, Amanda's sneer faded, her mask flickering in the light of Mia's authenticity. "Strength?" she echoed, hesitant now. "You think that's all it takes?" Mia's heart raced as she felt the anticipation of a real exchange dangling in the air. "It's about changing how we react to pain, Amanda. You can either continue being a source of hurt, or you can look inward the way I did. You don't have to carry that armor anymore, even if it feels like a shield. It can start here, right now." Mia could see cracks in Amanda's facade, like a once polished surface now dulled by time and self-reflection. Could the laughter of their youth give way to an invitation for understanding? The crowd stood at the precipice of transformation, and Mia felt their energy intertwined with her own resolve. "We're all evolving, but we can't do that unless we face the people we hurt, understand the hurt we feel, and begin to rebuild with honesty. It's messy, but it can lead to something new." Suddenly, Amanda stepped back, her defensiveness retreating. The tension shifted again as the rambling crowd seemed to lean closer, eager to behold a potential reckoning before them. Before Mia could catch her breath, Amanda took a small step toward her. "And what if I don't want to change? What if I like being the villain?" The question hung in the air like a pendulum. It was a crossroads, forcing Mia to grapple with the dilemma of accountability versus acceptance. Should she extend a hand, inviting Amanda into a dialogue for redemption, or challenge her more forcefully? Just then, the internal struggle of her past clashed with the ideals of her present. As the cafe thrummed with anticipation, she felt the weight of history pressing on her shoulders. The next step could define everything. Would she be the changemaker she aspired to be, or would fear unravel her resolve once more? In that moment, the whole space seemed to hold its breath, waiting for Mia to respond. Would she dare reach past the hurt and challenge Amanda to confront her own reality? Mia's heartbeat thudded in her ears, a siren call of both fear and determination. She felt the atmosphere thickening, charged with an unspoken tension that enveloped the cafe like fog. Every pair of eyes in the crowd was now on her. Their breaths were shallow, somehow holding the weight of her unresolved past. Could she seize this moment, or would she allow the shadows of her history to stifle her voice? Her reply hung on the precipice of her thoughts. "Why would you let fear dictate your identity, Amanda?" The words came out steadier than she felt, guided by the truth she had fought to embrace. What if you're missing the chance to find out who you could be beneath all that armor? Amanda shifted, her expression teetering between defiance and uncertainty. Mia could almost see the flicker of doubt in her eyes. It was an opportunity, a fragile thread of connection woven through years of animosity. But connecting with Amanda felt akin to approaching a wild animal, unpredictable and potentially dangerous. "Do you really think I care about what you think? I'm not looking for your approval," Amanda shot back, but there was a crack in her bravado. The habitual edge of sarcasm that had defined her voice felt momentarily muted. Mia stepped closer, the distance between them shrinking. Social conventions no longer mattered. "I'm not asking for your approval. I'm extending an invitation. Change is terrifying, I know," she continued, her voice a hushed strength. "But it's also where we find growth. You could either remain the villain in this story or become the person you want to be." Silence hovered, each breath within the crowd almost palpable. Mia could see the wheels turning in Amanda's mind. She was grappling with the notion that transformation could come from confronting her past rather than suppressing it. "I don't even know how to be different," Amanda finally whispered, as if the admission itself was foreign and uncomfortable. "This is who I am, who I've always been." "It can take just one choice to rewrite your story." Mia's inner voice surged with encouragement. "What if you chose to be honest about your pain instead of hiding behind insults? You might find that others are willing to understand if you are brave enough to first show your vulnerability." This was a gamble. Each moment spent in this uncertainty pulled Mia deeper into the fray of her own emotions. Was she truly willing to embrace not just her own past, but Amanda's burdens as well? The choice to extend kindness was both empowering and terrifying. Amanda's posture shifted, tension slipping slightly from her shoulders, and Mia saw a flicker of that familiar hurt. The same hurt that had once allowed their paths to cross in destructive ways. The irony wasn't lost on her. Both had suffered in their own ways, just on opposite ends of the battlefield of hurt. As Amanda's eyes darted around the room, taking in the expectant faces, Mia felt the swell of determination swell within her. This doesn't have to end in anger. It can lead to real healing. This moment, Amanda, this is where you have a choice. "Maybe I don't want to be healed," Amanda shot back, her defensive veil slipping back into place. Yet there was more willingness in her tone, a seed of self-reflection that had been absent moments ago. In that lingering silence, Mia felt her own heart tug with empathy. She knew it would take more than just words to break the pattern that bound them both. But what was that other step? As the crowd's anticipation grew, Mia understood. She needed to show Amanda the future she had envisioned, but would she be able to help Amanda hear her own heart beneath the layers of resistance? Their identities were intertwined, a complicated weave of pain and resilience, and Mia sensed that this conversation held the potential for a newfound understanding. As Mia stood there, poised on the precipice of growth, she pondered her next return. Would she dare invite Amanda into a vulnerable space shared by both, transforming this encounter into something profound? Perhaps it was time to demonstrate more than just words. It was time to challenge not just Amanda's identity, but her own. Would she summon the courage to truly confront Amanda and reveal her most authentic self? Mia inhaled sharply, the weight of the room pressing against her chest. As the tension swirled like static, she recognized that this moment was her battleground, a place where vulnerability met the potential for transformation. "Amanda, what if," she began, her voice steadying, "instead of armor you chose to carry a story, your story, one that doesn't just paint you as a victim or a villain. Mia approached the precipice of her own revelation, acutely aware that she was walking a narrow line. The words trickled out like a delicate thread, and she hoped Amanda would be able to grasp it. "What do you know about stories?" Amanda snapped, her defenses firming once more. Yet Mia detected a quiver. Perhaps there was room for fragility after all. "I know they can change lives," Mia responded, her conviction growing. "By being authentic about our experiences, we can start to peel back the layers of who we are. Have you ever thought that your anger might stem from a pain you have yet to address?" Amanda's gaze faltered, her walls cracking, even if only for a fraction of a second. Mia pushed onward, determined to shatter more than just the armor Amanda donned. "What if you allowed yourself to express your pain rather than letting it fuel your defenses? You might find others rallying around your truth." The thought sent a shiver through Mia, not just for Amanda, but for herself. Could she do the same? As she extended this olive branch, Mia couldn't help but wonder if there was a deeper truth buried within her own narrative that needed articulation. A story of fear, shame, and resilience that had shaped her just as much as Amanda. "Maybe," Amanda murmured, the words laced with disbelief. "But it's so hard to open up. People don't care about your struggles. Have you ever shared yours outright?" Mia countered, feeling a surge of courage. "Perhaps if you let it out, you'd be surprised how many people are willing to listen. Even your so-called enemies have their battles too." A flicker of recognition ignited in Amanda's eyes, but Mia could see the hesitation still deep within her. It was time for Mia to dig deeper into her own soul, to offer her own truth as a testament to the power of vulnerability. Would Amanda meet her halfway? "I used to be afraid of speaking up," Mia shared, her voice unwavering. "I felt invisible, drowning in my thoughts. But then I discovered that sharing my truth, my struggles, was my strength. I'm here because I found my voice, and I thought you might want to join me in that journey." As the words settled in the room, a hush fell among the witnesses, their breaths collectively held. Mia felt the ripples of connection radiating outward. Amanda's frown deepened, wrestling with a tempest of self-doubt, but Mia sensed a shift. The sting of their pasts was palpable, yet there was an opportunity for both to rise. "Quitting is easy," Mia continued, a fire igniting within her. "But choosing to lean into discomfort, embracing your flaws, that's where life begins, real life." Amanda tensed, the conflicting emotions skirmishing visibly across her face. For a fleeting second, the barrier that separated them appeared shaky, and Mia's heart raced with hope. Had she crossed a threshold that could redefine their narrative? But just as the glimmers of understanding cast shadows of potential connection, Amanda recoiled, her frustration re-emerging. "You don't know what I've been through. You think it's just about feelings. It's bigger than that." Mia took a step back but refused to abandon the conversation. "You're right. It's not just about feelings. It's about taking action. It's about showing up for yourself." Amanda's eyes flickered again with a mixture of recognition and defiance. What would it take to break through? Would a small leap into vulnerability lead them both to a crossroads of new beginnings, or a renewed cycle of hurt? In the charged silence, Mia held her breath, facing the duality of her own vulnerability and the realization that this was not merely about Amanda. It was a chance for Mia to confront her own past missteps, her failures, and her hopes. Would she cherish the strength found in this moment, or retreat back into herself? As she awaited Amanda's response, the crowd seemed to hold its breath with her. For a single heartbeat, the lines between their fates entwined, the conversation poised on the edge of something monumental. Would Amanda summon the strength to take a step forward with her? And in doing so, would Mia dare to reveal her own most shameful truth? Mia felt the tension in the air crackle with unformed possibilities. This moment was not simply a confrontation. It represented a new beginning, not just for her, but for Amanda, too. With her mind racing, she realized that this exchange was not merely about resolving their past, but a chance to redefine their futures. "Amanda," Mia began, her voice steady but gentle, "I don't have all the answers, and I'm just learning how to navigate my own pain. But I believe we have the power to rewrite our stories, even the ones written before we knew ourselves." The sincerity of her words hung between them, dissolving the bitterness that had once clouded their relationship. Amanda flinched slightly, her bravado waning at Mia's vulnerability. "You think it's that easy?" she asked, but there was no bite in her tone, only the raw edges of fear and uncertainty laid bare. The crowd leaned in closer, sensing the fragility of the moment. "I know it's not easy," Mia replied, her heart racing with the courage of authenticity. "It takes strength to break down the walls we've constructed. Trust me, I've hidden behind my art for so long. Sharing my story scared me, but it made me feel alive, visible, human." She felt warmth swell inside her as she locked eyes with Amanda, hoping her sincerity would reach through the armor Amanda wore. Slowly, a flicker of recognition glimmered in Amanda's eyes, a hint of understanding that indicated she was beginning to peel back the layers of her defensive persona. "I guess I thought I had to put on this tough act," she admitted, casting her gaze downward. "I never wanted to show weakness." "You don't have to be perfect," Mia said, her passion intensifying. "We all have vulnerabilities. These are the pieces that make us relatable and real. What if, instead of hiding, we embraced that?" For the first time, Amanda met Mia's gaze with unguarded eyes, a vulnerable sheen forming. "I didn't realize how much I was missing by keeping everyone at arm's length," she confessed, her voice cracking. "Is it really that simple to let people in? It starts with a choice, Amanda. Just as you chose pain, you can choose connection. It's not straightforward, but it's worth it." Mia felt alive, fueled by not just her own growth, but the possibility of helping another navigate their transformation. With the air weighed by honesty and a sense of newfound clarity, Amanda stood taller, the inkling of hope beginning to reshape her countenance. "It's scary," she said, almost to herself. "It is," Mia agreed, "but fear can be part of your journey instead of a destination. You can use it to grow into the person you want to be." A long moment passed, and in that silence, Mia's own reflection bubbled to the surface. The journey she had traveled was marked by an evolving understanding of herself and the acceptance of her past. There was no shorter path. It demanded work and compassion. "I want to try," Amanda finally said, her voice barely a whisper, but imbued with a quiet strength that shocked those around them. A ripple of surprise coursed through the crowd, admiration palpable, as Mia smiled, warmth radiating from them both. "Incredible things can happen when we choose to connect instead of divert," Mia offered, reassured by her own growth. "Embrace the chance to be vulnerable, and you might find acceptance in unexpected places." As the crowd erupted in congratulatory murmurs, the once familiar dynamics between Mia and Amanda shifted, carving out new territory in their relationship. The barriers they once clung to began to dissolve like mist, God-given space made for healing. Mia's heart soared as she observed not only Amanda's willing steps toward introspection, but also the interconnectedness of their journeys. No longer defined solely by pain, they stood in mutual growth, a holy ground of understanding. She sensed the weight of judgment lift, replaced with recognition. They both deserved space to evolve. In the days following their confrontation, Mia felt charged by gratitude for the biker's kindness and how it had strategically nudged her to confront her past and embrace her present. She had conquered moments of loneliness and transformed them into glowing spheres of appreciation and belonging. With each passing day, she beckoned more colors onto her canvas, inspired by what she had learned from the confrontation and reconciliation with Amanda. Her artwork flourished, teasing whispers of vibrant stories awaiting revelation. The once isolated girl became Batman in her narrative, a warrior, fearless in her vulnerability and confident in her narrative. At school, she found herself facing her bullies not with fear, but with the wintergreen resolve of the girl who had journeyed through shadows and emerged into the light. The sting of laughter faded as Mia shared her artwork. It became a testament to strength, resonating with those who now saw her not just as different, but as unique. Finally, as she completed a stunning mural symbolizing her journey and newfound strength, Mia recognized the significance of that very day, the first day she chose courage over silence. The mural didn't just paint her story, it also echoed unifying themes of resilience throughout her community. With every brushstroke, Mia solidified her acceptance, becoming not just an artist, but a mentor. A voice for those willing to take a leap into vulnerability. The influences from the bikers echoed through her growth, resonating through her actions. Mia stepped into her new identity with solid confidence, recognized competence, and an established place in the world around her. Her journey had transcended beyond mere personal achievement into a collective honor of individuality. Each color, a reminder that perspectives could change, the past could heal, and new identities could flourish. And in this transformative moment, Mia seized the opportunity to extend her hand to Amanda, bridging gaps formed by fear and hurt. They stood shoulder to shoulder, ready to embrace their new identities away from the shadows. Now, she waited for her community to immerse in her story, one painted with resilience, strength, and connection. This was her moment, not only of personal triumph, but a tapestry woven from their shared vulnerability. Those echoes of laughter and uncertainty behind her became part of the soil where flowers grew. Here, amid color and courage, Mia stood firm, ready for all that lay ahead, a true architect of her world. And as the colors splashed joyously across her mural, she whispered to the universe, "This is just the beginning." You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories showcasing resilience and growth. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach others who need to hear these journeys. Comment your reactions and theories about this transformative ending. Your voice matters in this community. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share the light of personal overcoming.